Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into a pretty wild idea from a paper by legal scholar Pierre Legrand. Can you actually just copy a law from one country and expect it to work in another? Okay, let's kick things off with a question that honestly seems like a total no-brainer for lawmakers and reformers. It's just so efficient, so obvious, right? I mean, why reinvent the wheel? If some country out there has figured out an amazing environmental protection law and it's working wonders, why wouldn't you just copy and paste it into your own system? Problem solved. Well, this whole idea actually has a name in legal theory, and it's what we're all about today, the legal transplant. It's this idea of taking a rule of law and planting it in new soil. But the real question, the billion-dollar question is, does it actually grow? For a good long while, the prevailing wisdom was, yeah, of course it does. This whole perspective treats law kind of like a machine. A set of instructions that you can just pick up and move wherever you want. The big name behind this idea is a scholar named Alan Watson. His whole argument was that law, at its core, is just a collection of rules. Think of them like tools in a toolbox. They're totally separate from the society they came from, and you can use them anywhere. In fact, he put it really bluntly. He famously said that moving these rules between different cultures is, and I quote, socially easy. Basically, no big deal. So for Watson, a rule is just a rule. He calls it a bare propositional statement, which is a fancy way of saying it's just the text, the words on the page. You can take a law from Germany, drop it into Japan, and it's the exact same rule. And for him, this is how law mostly changes, by borrowing stuff, not by slowly evolving on its own.
But what if this whole simple, elegant idea is built on a massive flaw? What if we're completely missing what a law even is?
And this is where Pierre Legrand, the scholar whose paper we're digging into today, just comes in and drops a bombshell. He doesn't say it's difficult or tricky. He says it is flat out impossible. See, Legrand makes us step back and ask a way more fundamental question. When we say a law, are we really just talking about the black and white text you can read in a book? Or is there something more going on? And here's his big idea. A rule isn't just one thing, it's two. You've got the words on the page, that bare propositional statement that Watson talked about, sure. But then you've got the meaning that people pour into those words. And according to Legrand, that meaning, well, that's everything. Think about it. A string of words on a page doesn't explain itself. The meaning, that comes from us. It comes from the judges, the lawyers, the regular people reading it. And their entire worldview, their history, their culture, their language, shapes how they understand those words. And Legrand's big point is, you can't just pack that meaning up in a suitcase and ship it along with the text.
Okay, so how does this actually play out in the real world?
To make this idea really stick, Legrand uses a few killer analogies. First up, just think about language itself. You can't just pluck a word out of one language, drop it into another, and expect it to work the same way. To get the real meaning, you'd have to bring the entire culture that it grew up in along with it. I mean, take a simple word like bread. The German word is Brot, the French word is pain. They both translate to bread, right? But to a German, Brot might conjure up images of dark, dense rye bread, something really hearty. To a French person, pain is probably a warm, crusty baguette from the corner bakery. Same concept, totally different cultural worlds. Or how about this one? It's a great visual. Imagine the original law is a big bucket of yellow paint. Now, the new culture you're moving it to, that's a bucket of red paint. When you pour the yellow into the red, you don't just get red paint with some yellow floating in it. No way. You get a brand new color, orange. The original rule has been completely transformed. So what you see is that the journey itself totally changes the rule. You start with Rule A in its home country, that's the words, plus its specific cultural meaning. But all you can actually move are the words, what Legrand calls a meaningless form of words. When those words land in the new country, they get filled up with a new cultural meaning. And what you end up with isn't Rule A anymore, it's a totally new thing, Rule B. What arrives is simply not what left. All right, so if we buy what Legrand is selling, if you really can't copy-paste laws, then what's the point of even comparing legal systems? Should we just, not bother? Well, this gets us to the absolute heart of the disagreement. It's about two totally different goals. On one side, you've got Watson. He's looking at other laws to find what's similar, maybe even to push for a unified system. But Legrand, he's doing the complete opposite. He's looking at other legal systems to understand what makes them profoundly different, to see the unique cultural fingerprint on each one. And Legrand is really channeling the sociologist Max Weber here. The whole point isn't to find a law you can steal. It's to look at another country's system and ask, wow, why did they end up there? What makes them tick? By studying their different way of doing things, we actually learn a ton about the hidden assumptions and values that are shaping our own laws back home.
So, when you boiled it all down, law isn't just a set of instructions. It's a mirror. It's a reflection of a culture's deepest, most fundamental values, a society's soul, really. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. If you were to look into the mirror of your own country's laws, what would it tell you about who you are?